سبحانك يا من لا شريك له سبحانك يا من لا شريك له سبحانك يا من لا شريك له سبحانك.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Family Room. Earlier in our program, we talked about sending the kids away for college. The topic is very important and it touches a lot of houses, especially here in the West. Sending the kids to college near home is not always an option. Some of us will have to sacrifice and we're going to have to send our kids away for college. We talked about the effect on the kids, on the child themselves, on the children themselves when they go away for college. We talked about the psychological effect, and we talked that the transition is not always smooth. We talked about the effect on the religion and how they have to stay strong with the right crowd, otherwise, subhanAllah, it's going to be a great fitna and tribulation. We talked about different aspects, and we talked about that sending the kids to a prestigious college is not necessarily a ticket to success or a ticket to a good career. As long as a child is hardworking and they have perseverance and they're ambitious, inshallah, with time they will be able to make it. And the statistics show that it doesn't really make a difference as long as they are hardworking and they work on it. After 20-30 years, the income of the students will not depend on the college. It will always depend on their effort, the effort that they put, and how they can have a good relation with the co-workers. They can work together and they can prove themselves in the world. So the only thing we did not talk about is the effect on the family, the rest of the family, on the members after one of them leaves the house. Even if we know that that child will be okay, that they're not children anymore, they're becoming adults, it's still hard. It's very hard on the mother, and the problem is we feel like the mother is the most one who's going to get affected by this. The truth of the matter is the rest of the siblings are going to be affected by the father also, but the siblings are going to be missing their older sister or brother, or their sister and or brother, regardless of the age. And we have to make up for this emptiness that they leave. We have to come together as a family, and we have to know that we need to spend more time talking, chatting, playing, joking, having fun, going out together, just to be able to adjust in the beginning. Let's not make it like a lesson. Let's not waste a lot of time worrying about the member that left, that we forget the members that are still here with us. I believe that when someone leaves the house, we're all valuable. Each of us has a role in the family, and if one of us leaves, the rest will suffer somehow. So in order to make sure that the transition doesn't leave a permanent mark on the psychology of the other siblings, we have to keep in mind to be patient and to be caring and welcoming, and to give extra love at that time and extra attention to the others. We have to understand that they are going through a transition as well. It's not only the person who left the house, and it's not only the mother. All of us, we're going to need to adjust once one of us left the place. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us again after the success of our loved ones who went to college this year. Welcome back to Family Room. Since we talked about education and sending kids away to college or for college, now there is a big part of education that we as Muslims care about, and that part is memorization of the Quran, or the study of the Quran al-Kareem. There is a huge difference between studying the Quran in general and memorization of the Quran. Memorization of the Quran is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not everybody is blessed with that. And also we are encouraged in our religion to learn the Quran and to teach it to others. The Prophet ﷺ said, خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. The best amongst you is the one who learns the Quran and teaches it to others. Also, we have a lot of reward mentioned in the hadith for the memorizers of the Quran. We have Al-Tirmidhi and Abu Dawood narrated that Abdullah ibn Amr, that the Prophet ﷺ said, it will be said to the companion of the Quran, recite and rise. Recite as you used to recite in the world, for your status will be at the last verse that you recite. So we know that the steps of Jannah are the same number as the ayahs of the Quran. So the more we memorize, the higher we'll get in Jannah, inshallah, and that is great. We all want our kids to be among those. We also want to have like a great reward as parents of memorizers of the Quran. But the thing is, 20 years ago, we didn't have a lot of memorizers of the Quran. We had many, but it wasn't very popular. It was like only for selected people that they would take like a different route in education to learn and memorize the Quran. And they were highly regarded in the community, in the ummah in general. Nowadays, we have a lot of people who memorize the Quran, and we have lots of children, and it's really impressive. If we look at them, memorization of the Quran is not only for Arabs, and it is actually a lot of non-Arabs. They do take the challenge and they memorize the Quran, especially when they start very little, at a young age. They reach a high degree and a high level of memorization and of recitation that is very impressive to Arabs as well. The way they pronounce, the way they recite, the passion they put in the words and in their voice is remarkable. And actually, here is an example that you are going to watch right now. A little child who has a very pretty voice, and mashallah, although she does not speak Arabic, she is able to recite the Quran in a very beautiful Arabic accent.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون.
As we heard, mashallah, beautiful voice from a nice little girl who's, mashallah, have spent a lot of time reading, learning how to read Quran with tajweed and memorizing, beautifying her voice with the Quran. I'm sure her parents, inshallah, are proud. But the thing is, with the increase in the number of the memorizers or of the huffaz of the Quran, we would expect an increase of manners in the ummah. Because actually Quran is a way to perfect our manners. Islam in general is a way to perfect our manners. A lot of people were away from the straight path, and they were doing all sort of sins and doing wrong to the community. And subhanallah, once they convert to Islam, or once they come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all this goes away, and subhanallah, we find them completely different people who are doing the right thing in this world, and who are working towards building it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They become kind, they become honest, they become doing giving charities and devoting their lives for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The problem is, this is not actually what's happening. What's happening is that we have a gap between memorization of the Quran and manners. We find lots of children who memorize the Quran, but then when you listen to them, or teenagers or youth, when you listen to them, you find them like that did not stop the memorization of the Quran, did not stop them from using bad words, bad language. It did not stop them from cheating on tests. It did not stop them from lying. It did not stop them from deceiving others. It did not stop them from mistreating their parents or mistreating their siblings. It did not stop them from a lot of bad things. What does that mean? It means that the Quran did not touch their heart. It only touched their tongue. And we know this is known as hypocrisy. If we memorize the Quran and we don't apply it in our lives, this is hypocrisy. And the hypocrites are not very well regarded in Islam. This is not something that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from, to keep us from, and to keep our kids away from. So what do? We have to make sure that the kids do understand and apply what they learn in the Quran in their daily lives. And we have to explain to them that the status of a memorizer of the Quran is high. It's a da'wah. People look up to them. They look up to them and they will ask them a lot of questions because they expect that they have the answers. And we have to teach them that saying that you do not know the answer is fine, but acting in a bad way and acting with bad manners is not okay. If you memorize the Quran, you have to carry it with you to the playground. You have to carry it with you to the basketball court, to the football court, to the football field, to the soccer field. It has to affect you. It has to touch your heart. You have to act as if you really have a responsibility in the ummah, in the society, and that you are a caller for the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not the opposite. If you think that this is a lot of pressure that you cannot handle, then I suggest you take the time to perfect your manner rather than taking the time to memorize verses that do not touch your heart. Memorization of the Quran and applying it and using it in our daily life and showing it, making it show in our manners is perfect and great, and this is the ultimate goal. But if we cannot accomplish both, let's just focus on the thing that is fard, and that is the manners. Manners are fard. The Prophet ﷺ said, إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق. Indeed, I was sent to perfect the best of manners. So the best of manners come first, and then the memorization of the Quran comes after. If you cannot have both, then start with the manners. Once you have good manners, it will help you become a better Muslim, and it will help you achieve the ultimate goal, inshallah, of being a better version of yourself and reaching Jannah eventually, because this is, subhanallah, the rights of the ibad, the rights of the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon you. You cannot cheat, lie, deceive, and use bad language and then expect that everybody is going to forgive you. You know, people may or may not forgive you, and if they do not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold you accountable to this. Okay, so أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us memorize the Quran and to help us applying it in our daily lives, and to make sure that we do not have a gap between Quran and manners. If we cannot handle both, let's focus on the manners. Jazakumullah khairan. This is Marwa Sabri, and this is Family Room. Thank you.